All right, how we doing? We're here with Ashley Henning. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Because I'm still foreign, so sometimes I get it wrong. But she's from the creator of Stripper Stigma, and we'll go a bit more detail with that. But let's start with how we know each other, how we met each other. That's a cool story.
Very
Yeah?
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I met Christian at a strip club in Toowoomba, and it had just opened. Is that right? You were one of the first.
Yes. We were. I was like, what? 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was a controller back then,
Yes.
and I was 19, I think, super young, and it was you and one other guy. Is that
Phoenix.
true?
Yes,
Phoenix, yeah.
yes.
God, he was trouble.
He
So
was
much
trouble.
fun, but
Yeah. He was a great dancer. I was a terrible dancer. I was good at lap dances. I don't know, like you can correct me. I think I was good at lap dances, but the whole show and the stage, I sucked. Like, he will guide it.
No, but
You know?
you were like a lot more like bigger and muscular.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like very skinny. So
Yeah,
it
it
was
was-
big moves,
yeah,
you
but
know?
he had like all day, woo, and I was like, okay.
And Christian was very good at talking. The
Yeah.
women loved chatting to him. They didn't like
Yeah.
talking to the other guy that
Yeah,
much.
I had my hustle. You know, you gotta learn your hustle. That's a big part of the business. What is a controller for people that don't know this industry? I think a lot of even the guys that get lap dance, they don't even know a controller is
That's
there.
true. No, that's very true. A controller is someone that monitors a lap dance to make sure that everything is legal. So in different clubs, there's different rules. In Toowoomba, you had to be like 6 centimeters from like genitalia. Really.
Yes.
There was no touching, but you could straddle them. You could get both legs up on either side.
Yeah.
In the club that I work at now, you have to have one foot on the ground at all times, which is different. And because it was such a new club as well, they were very strict on the rules because licensing was in all the time. So it was like quite a stressful job. Because you were drinking that way or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone was drinking. It was a huge party for us.
Yeah.
And so then you have to monitor women as well. Women are the worst.
Yes,
The worst clients.
I remember one specific time that and you gotta monitor the dancers as well, because the rules like that. Sometimes there's not only the patron that wants to break the rules. Sometimes the dancer is into the person they dancing with. They're like,
So that's because
Yes.
at the club in Toowoomba you could book both a male and female dancer.
Yes.
So that's what Christian's referring to is when,
Yeah.
and that was also a lot of trouble. I remember one time, probably was with you.
yeah,
They had these fun fantasy rooms.
Yes,
Remember? There was
yes.
a bondage room,
there's a bondage room. There was a PlayStation room.
and no, that was later. They did the shower room.
I don't remember.
No,
shower. There's no
I
shower.
don't
That sounds like a mess. That sounds like trouble.
I remember one time, it was with you, and the girl got so into the dance. You guys are like basically having sex, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know like what the rules are dancer on dancer, but I feel like this is wrong.
I remember one time that Amal was my controller. She was there was a
Amal?
manager of the club.
Yeah.
Yes, and this girl was so into it that once I pull it out, and she was like, and Amal was like, no, you can't do
Now,
that.
I remember having to like
Yeah.
control that all the time. They're always trying to grab his dick.
Yeah.
It's like so good.
Yeah, it was like it was full on. It was a full on. And in different states there's different rules, right? Like I remember I went to Men's Galleria in Melbourne, and there's a lot of more stuff allowed than in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it changes, but it's basically for the safety of the dancers and of the public as well. It's just for people to maintain the rules. Yeah, what was then you started dancing?
So then you left.
Yes.
You were only there for maybe 3 months on the weekend. If
Yeah,
that.
I was only on the weekends. I think it was longer than that, probably like 6 months or something like that. I did see you start dancing.
Oh really?
Yes. Yeah,
not remember.
yeah. So it's just it's
Do you
hard
dance together?
to get. I'm not sure. I don't.
Okay.
I think Amal was not allowing to mix dances because we
after
asked.
a while.
We
I
asked,
think,
and then she was like, "No, bro. That's this is let's give it a bit more tame."
They had this stripper house in Toowoomba as well.
Yes, the
And,
Super Alice trouble.
let's talk about that. It
Yeah.
was a wild place. It was like an 8-bedroom house,
Yes.
and everybody would go back there after work and drink. All security, all male
Yeah.
strippers, all female.
Yes, like we got in trouble a few times. 'Cause it was like a reality show. I think that if we had cameras there, that would have been the most popular reality show in Australia.
And they should have had cameras. Like,
Yeah, because it was pretty crazy. Like it was a big house with pool. You know, we all got used to seeing each other naked, so like everyone
Yeah.
was naked all the time. And
everyone was very drunk after work.
Yes,
sexually frustrated.
yeah, and it was Toowoomba, like there was nothing else to do
No.
afterwards. Like here, you know, some girls go to private jobs, some girls go back to work, you know, people go back to their family. But in Toowoomba, the majority of dancers are coming from different towns. They just come there for the weekend and go home. At the time, it was the biggest stripper club in Australia.
Yeah.
So it was very
it's
popular
huge.
for everyone to go there, and there was some people that you'll see every weekend, and some others that they were just there for that one time. So
And there was always new girls flying in. Constantly.
Yes.
So you could always.
and
sleep
they'll
with someone
and they'll be surprised because like it's not used to normal that to see male strippers. So it's like, oh my god, there's guys too. And like, oh shit, yeah. I was like 22 years old, so I was so young and ready to party.
And where was this in your bodybuilding?
Yes,
like,
I
the
was.
timeline
Yeah, I was personal training and bodybuilding, so it was perfect for me because it will make like pretty decent money on the weekend, and then on the week I could just focus on training, tanning, and just that. Yeah.
So tell us, how much does a male stripper make in a club? Because I know it would be very different to if you.
It'll be very different. It'll be less than what girls make, but like I will make in a night, $700, stuff like that. Very different hustle. Very different hustle. Like I remember, you know, guys they like spending money to impress the girls. They think that the more I spend, the more chances I have like the girl will go home with me. Rah rah rah. While girls are not like that. The hustle with the girls was more their friends. Their friends think it's funny to get their girlfriend a dance. So instead of approaching like the girl, oh babe, let's go for a dance, you will approach their girlfriends and like, oh, this is her birthday. You know what would be cool if you guys get her a lap dance, and then so they all put money together to get her a dance.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a different hustle. My name was Antonio. And
Suits him so well.
yeah, well that's what I do. I use my Latino shit as my selling point. So I was like, yeah, Antonia, which I found some girls that are Latinas in the club where we work now, and they have like an English name, and I was like, bro, use your Latino shit to sell, you know, like
because people love it. You're right.
yeah, here
sure.
you're exotic,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
you're back home
And authentic as well.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the names? What do you think of why there's names? Why do we have a different name than? Is it for protection? Is it safety? Is it for because you leave the person you are in your normal life behind, and then you become that person? You know, I leave Christian behind, I become Antonio, and stuff like that. What do you think?
Well, that's a great question because when I started dancing in Toowoomba, I was a controller for 3 months, and then I started dancing, and I used my real name then.
Yeah.
And I danced in my hometown where I grew up. At the time, it made sense because I had customers that knew me as Ashley, and obviously they were going to be my first kind of regular clients.
Yes.
And then when I came to the Gold Coast, they said you can't use your real name. You shouldn't use your real name, which is great advice because, yeah, that's a great point. You can leave your other self behind.
Yes.
So I love driving down the hill,
Mm.
and as soon as I drive down the hill, it's like Leah,
Yes.
and it's
yes.
just, oh, it's so powerful. And I went through a heap of dark stuff when I was, after a while, at the vault, and my therapist actually said the personality you created at work, Leah, is the person you yourself want to be, because she's very confident, she's very successful, she knows what she wants, she knows how to get it, and I needed to work on relating Leah to Ashley more.
Yes.
So I think having a fake name is great, and it can be really, really healing.
Yes.
And,
It can backfire. I remember one
Really?
time I I slept with one of the dancers.
Oh, Lord. One
and-
time.
well, this one time, particular time. And we were having sex. And she started saying, "Oh yes, Antonia." And I'm like, "Oh, I haven't told you my real name. This is awkward." And she would keep going, "Antonia, Antonia." And I'm like, "Please stop. It's not working for me. That's not my actual name." But yeah, you gotta remember that that's your name by the time being, because sometimes they call you and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's me. Yeah.
There is an Ashley at there was an Ashley at Hollywood,
Yes.
and yeah, you always get mixed up, and you like turn around, you're like, who the hell told them my real name? And you're like, oh no, wait, other people have that name.
Yes. Do you find some names are a bit too ridiculous?
Oh, the worst. What's the worst?
I,
name
I,
you've ever
I,
heard?
there's a girl with the name Peaches, and for me, the name, fair enough, if it sounds like a stripper name, but it needs to sound as like a name at least. If someone comes to me and say, "Hi, my name is Peaches," like I lose my shit laughing, you know, because it's in plural, like it's not even a singular peach, like it's peaches, like no one's called Peaches, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think the names can be a bit funny sometimes.
I think that a lot of girls change their names per club, I've
Mm.
found, because I've known girls who've then come into my current club and you call them their old name and they're like, oh no, it's different now. And I think, is this like all your different personalities?
Yes.
Are you naming them?
Yes, I found I know a girl in Hollywood that by the time, well, I've been working there, it's been just like 3 months, they changed their name like 3 times. And I'm like, how did the regulars gonna find her? How,
Yeah.
you know, like it's weird.
We should interview her. That's a great.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Wow.
But,
Oh. What was the wildest experience you had while you were dancing as a male?
dancing as a male in private or at the club? Let's give it at the club. It's in private. I think that one I wouldn't say the wildest, but one of the funniest one was remember the whip room,
Oh yeah, the bondage room.
the bondage
Oh,
room.
yeah.
So there was a box, and they got the guy all tied up. They had one of the girls. The girls came in, covered his eyes, and then we switched. And then I was like, "Okay, daddy." And he's like, "Oh shit, what's going on?" And the guys paid us for the prank. That was pretty funny. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Beaten by a man.
Yeah.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah. Well, that's a memory that lasts forever, right?
Yeah, and for his friends.
Yeah, absolutely. So
What
tell
made you?
me,
No,
yeah,
I'm sorry. No, you go.
yeah. I was gonna ask you a little bit about the initiative that you started with Stripper Stigma.
Okay, so originally it was to create a platform to build a charity for strippers, especially younger strippers. A lot of strippers, I find, as females, come into the industry from poverty, and then they get all this money thrown at them, and they don't know what to do with
Yeah.
it. They also
Especially when they start very young, right?
Yeah. and they come from probably a lot of abuse. I don't think I've met a single stripper who hasn't come from quite traumatic abuse. They don't often talk about it, but you can pick little things up. So they don't have many boundaries, and a club can give you certain boundaries, like with the sex licensing.
Yeah.
You can't do certain things, like in our current club, you can't kiss, you can't grind on anyone. So it's quite safe. It's quite a safe club to start out with. But like you said, when you go to Melbourne, they often don't have. A lot of clubs even have brothel licenses.
Yeah.
So jumping around clubs is also not great for young girls, I would say, just because you're not learning any boundaries.
Back home, yeah.
Circle back. So originally the stripper page is to create a platform for that, but then I kind of got lost in how much I wanted to give these girls, and it can be very overwhelming. There's really, you could...
A lot. The more you dig in, the more comes out. Yeah.
Yeah. So then my life coach told me, you need to write a book, even just for yourself, to narrow down what happened to you and what would be most beneficial for young dancers.
Yeah.
And so that's what the current Instagram is for. It's just sharing my stories, my diary entries, how I've seen the industry, how I've experienced the industry, creating a memoir, and then building off that to help young girls, essentially.
So a lot of people will be like, why do they need help? They're making so much money, they have so much power in them, you know, but people don't realize how the industry can really fuck with your head, and how it can affect your life, and you're not even realizing how it's affecting your life, and not only mental health wise, but the physical, your relationships.
Being up at night.
Yeah, being up at night.
We had a conversation not long ago about how Christian was slapped in the face again with what night shift does to you, and it makes you think differently. You have to be so conscious of what you're doing in the day, what you're eating, your nutrition and stuff, or you just go downhill, and it's not necessarily from anything, but you're on night shift.
Yeah, and I see people deteriorate, like as I'm a personal trainer, like I pay attention to those things, and you can deteriorate very, very quickly if you don't look after yourself.
Add in drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
A lot of young girls will start to take something to stay awake because they've been awake for like some of these girls went for 14 nights in a row. That's like ridiculous with alcohol. Not eating great, not eating at a good time, not sleeping.
Yes.
Like.
And it's just not only just to stay awake, but to deal with people's shit. Even me as security, like dealing with people's shit is hard. And as a dancer, like the things that you get whispered in your ear, people trying to grab you, trying to touch, the stress of like you're gonna see someone you know. There's a lot of things, and I've seen girls that they try to work sober, and then you know you start your shift, you're a bit nervous, you go out to a group of guys, they tell you, nah, fuck off, and now that girl, she needs a bunch of shots to go. To feel confident to go to the next group.
You've seen them take like 3 shots at once, and they're like 40 kilos, and you look at them and you go, oh honey, wow, too much. And then they just deteriorate because then their insecurities come up. And that's what stripping is. You've got to be so mentally strong. So like.
And there's no preparation for it. There's no school for it. There's no one telling you, you know, do this, this, and that. Let's prepare your mind for this. It's just you just get thrown at it. And what I was gonna say is that back home, the strip clubs are brothels as well. You know, so they look exactly the same. From Venezuela and South America, and all that area is the same. So instead of lap rooms, there's rooms. So you have the dancers doing the dance, and then when you pick someone, instead of like going for a dance, you take them to a room. And I find a lot of foreign men, when they come here, they're expecting that from the girls. And then they create a confusion, and then they get pissed off. It's like, oh, I paid all this, and all I'm getting is that. So there's no education, and
That's
I think a lot of times
Yeah.
like the girls are not aware that like foreign men are expecting that, and how to put those boundaries and let them know that this is not how things work here.
Yeah.
Um,
And culturally, the cultural difference in
Mm.
different men.
yes.
Indians are huge. You can get like anyway. They can be really lovely and they can be very terrible, but because of their culture, they treat you differently.
Yes.
And if you don't know that as a young dancer, chances are you've been assaulted by an Indian, like I don't know, 3 or 4 times in the first year because you just don't understand
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I found that's one time one of the girls called me. I was downstairs and it's like there's this guy pushing the doors, trying to force himself into the bathroom with us, and like we're literally pushing the door back while we're calling you. So I had to call the other securities and run up there and get rid of the guy. So yes, if you're a guy, don't be a fuckwit. You're just gonna get a dance, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, be aware of that when you go to a strip club.
Yeah.
They're human beings, they're people, they're young girls,
Yeah.
and you got to treat them with respect because they're doing a job, they're putting hard work into that. If you don't think it's hard work, there's a lot of work, there's physical and mental work
Yeah.
that they're doing.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
as a dancer as well, it's so important to choose a club that makes you feel safe. And I think a lot of girls think that doesn't really exist, and it 100% does. Like
yes.
the one I'm at now, and the Toowoomba one, I never felt unsafe ever, and I always knew the club had my back.
Mm.
And I know that there's not much of that in the industry that I've found. It's very one girl for herself.
Yeah. Yes. What do you think of the privates and the girls that go to privates after work? Do you think that's dangerous? And for me, it makes me nervous, like, 'cause when I'm good friends with some of the girls, and when I hear like, oh, I'm going to a private theater after work, and I'm like, fuck, please be safe. Like sometimes I'm like, just hire one of us security guards to come and just stand outside. So you know, by the amount of money you're making in the private is just pennies that you're gonna got spend a security guard to just show that there's someone behind you, and that you know we're gonna wait for you to finish and stuff like that, because it can be pretty scary. I had to go with girls to collect money because after the private the guys refused to pay or make a fake transfer,
Oh.
and all that type of thing exists. The
Wow.
girls need to be very aware of that. I find privates a normal time, like you know you got 9 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever, the box party, that's fine. But after work, the guys are just expecting one thing, you know, like if they've been dancing with you all night, they want to pay you extra for you to come to continue dancing for them. Like they're probably have something else in their mind as well. Do you believe that's correct?
I think for sure, for younger girls, definitely. I have only recently started going back to clients' houses probably in the last 2 years, and it's always been with another girl and paid more than what would make it work for an hour.
Yeah.
And usually I find if you've been with them all night, you should be able to gauge what their vibe is like.
Yeah.
And I'm very strict, like absolutely no sex. I don't usually even get naked.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're bringing the vibe back.
Yeah.
Like drinking, they're usually pretty lonely.
Yeah.
But it comes down to understanding that at work, that there's a certain type of guy that they're gonna stick within the boundaries, and then as soon as they get you out, they're gonna just
Yes. Do you
everything
think
goes out the window.
greed makes them take risks that they shouldn't? Like, this guy, you know, is a bit creepy, but the amount that he's offering is very tempting, so I just gotta take the risk and go. You know, I think sometimes that's a bit unnecessary.
Oh, for sure. Or they just. Do you find it's the younger, newer strippers that get
Yeah.
themselves into trouble?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any bad stories like from the girls who've been working in it as long as I have, which is like nearly 9 years.
Because it can get you in trouble, right? Because with the club, if the club finds out that you go to private with clients.
I don't know if they find out you're going to a private or if they think you're going home for free. It's
If
very
they go-
grey area.
Yeah.
Extremely grey. You can't leave the club with a client directly, but I mean the club knows it.
Yeah. And there's that interruption, also in your mindset that you're dancing,
Yeah.
you're this person, you're Leah, and then you get dressed, you go have a shower, whatever, and then you just go to a private.
I'm still Leah. I never change.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I come to the Gold Coast and I'm Leah.
Yeah.
It's my favourite personality. But yeah, no, there needs to be a lot more education around that. And yeah, the security. That's a great idea. But a lot of guys, as soon as you say, I'm going to get a security to come, they back out. And I think that's great. Like, if they don't want security to wait outside for you, then don't
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
Don't. It's a big red flag. Like, absolutely not. I don't know a single guy that I've gone back with who wouldn't be like, yeah, for sure, I'll pay him. That's
Yeah.
what, if they say, I'm going to pay him to have you come back, great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree that's a great way to know the intentions of the person. Because,
Yep.
it's not even going to be inside, bro. It's going to be waiting outside.
Yep.
And you're not okay with that?
Yeah.
Shit. What your intentions are here.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, also another thing I want to talk about is having something else outside stripping, right? Because I find, especially with young girls, there's like, shit, all this money, I don't need to do shit, anything else. And it doesn't necessarily is gonna last forever, right? And I'm not talking just about that, oh, you're not gonna look great forever, you're gonna get older, whatever. It's not. But anything can happen, even like COVID, and the club closes, and then you don't have anything else going on, and you haven't saved any of the money, you just spend it every week and whatever. What used to happen to me, and that's one of the things I found. It was for me very hard to start because I got in a relationship. She didn't want me to do it anymore, so I started doing just security. And it's like, fucking 1 week I'm making what I made one night. That was very hard. But
Doing the same hours.
yes,
Oh.
but at the same time, I had more money than I had when I was stripping because I wouldn't save shit when I was stripping. But now I value the money that I work for, and I will save, I will pay the bills, I will, all that type of things. So I think it's pretty important to have something outside. I see that you do stuff with cars and racing and stuff. Like, well, tell me a little bit about that.
So a little bit about that. It's just more like marketing, and I met that guy through work.
Yep.
And yeah, he just said, yeah, do you want to come? He had a big opportunity come up this year while I was with him, and so it kind of just rolled from there. I also did other work similar to in Brisbane, just rebranding a guy's business or making it more personal or
Yeah.
approachable to the public. But I've had a catering business as well,
Yeah.
and I am renovating my current house.
Yes.
So things like that, I think if you need a goal when you come into stripping, and it needs to be more than pay off debt, because a lot of girls, they come in, they're
Yeah.
like, I've got heaps of debt and I'm going to smash it out. And I think, well, that's kind of just paying for your past mistakes. You're not
Yeah.
making a future goal like
Yeah.
buy a car, invest in stuff. Even designer stuff, I think if you want to buy designer stuff, that's fine, because that resale value will go through the roof with that. Like, it's a great investment, I think. Talk to a financial planner as well about where you're going and your goals. Goal setting is huge.
Yeah, that's really important. I like that. So having a financial planner, because you're coming, like you said, a lot of time from poverty, from not knowing money. Your parents didn't have money. You don't have an education. What to do with that? Then
Yeah.
you get thrown all this money at it, and it can make a massive difference to have someone that help you manage that new
Yeah. Just
abundance.
even open up your mind to what you could get.
Yeah.
That's huge as well, because a lot of the time girls don't understand how tax works, how GST works, and they kind of all think it works against them.
Yes.
That's not the case. It's an investment for your future. If you can buy a house, or if you can buy property, or
Yep.
pay off your car or something like that, that's all invested in your future.
Yes, and besides financial, there's also a satisfaction of having a goal and having a project and bringing it to life from nowhere. That you need more than just go to work, make your money, go sleep if you sleep, because you're in the daytime, you have to pop sleeping pills, and
Yep.
and then you're all fucked up, like
Yeah.
you sleep till 8 p.m. It's time to go to work again.
Yeah, you haven't seen the sun in like a week.
Yeah, and that's very, very important.
One thing my life coach said to me just this year, and get a life coach. Oh my lord, it's so good. Love having a life coach. He said, you make all this money so you can afford to have an expensive creative outlet. And he's so right. Like,
Yes.
I can sit around writing all day because I make enough to do that.
To
I
afford
don't
to
have
do
to
that,
go to
yeah.
work 9 to 5. And then write like in that tiny break you get before you go to sleep and do it all again. It's quite generous in time. Stripping gives you that.
Yes.
And you're not going to get that again, probably.
Once
At
it's
least
done.
for a while.
Yeah. And
So invest in things you like. Be creative. And strippers are very creative, I think.
yeah.
Very.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
You have to.
yeah.
To put together a dance for 15 minutes on a stage is a long time.
Yes, it
That's
is.
a long ass time. The people just staring at you, and just seeing the faces, if they're bored, if not. On the group of girls that only comes to criticize, because this always happens, to make themselves feel better, and then you see them laughing, and you're like, fuck off. You want to put together something good, something creative, and so it does take a lot of creativity
Yeah.
to put the show together, to go for
Yeah.
15 minutes. It's a long time.
Yeah. So just use that. I've seen a lot of dancers, they invest in vintage clothing and stuff like that. Really strange things, or painting, or doing roller skating and TikTok.
Yeah,
Isn't it
yeah.
cute? It's so creative, so
Yes.
clever. And a lot of my friends have gone on and made businesses from these little creative hobbies that they just started
Yeah.
doing for the fun of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can afford to take that risk. Like, if it fails, it fails.
Yeah, but
Because
you
you
got
have
your actual
your money, income.
behind
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and it usually won't fail then because you're doing it for fun.
Yeah. So you asked me what was the funniest or the most fucked up thing I have seen or done. So I'm gonna ask you the same question. Tell me a story. Story time.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh. You put me on the spot. This month or
Well, that comes to your mind. It might not be the biggest story, but something that you remember that, oh fuck, this one was one to remember.
I remember something happened last week. I'm gonna have to come back to that because
Okay.
I think things that stand out to me, and everyone's different, is the really sad stuff.
Yes.
And so it's not funny, but
Yeah, but
the
it's important.
other week, something that stuck out to me was this really lovely, really tall, handsome guy dressed in a suit, and he was the manager for that HP technology company,
Yep.
Australia and New Zealand. So
Yep.
loaded as you can imagine. He was so miserable.
Mm.
He said he has no money, his wife takes everything, his kids take everything, and the only thing he does for fun is he had this little creative hobby on Instagram, making these leather goods. And he said, I just would love to quit my job and do this as a hobby, but he can't.
Yeah.
He can't afford to quit, and I just thought, your money's not working for you, man, because you're so miserable.
Yeah.
And you can never stop. And he said, I can never quit.
Yeah.
And So they're the stories that stand out to me because you can learn a lot from those things, I think, and it's also the kind of client I attract. So I probably don't have heaps of funny
Yeah, yeah.
stories, but more deep, like.
Yeah, you get a lot of lonely guys, right? That they pay for a dance and they don't even want to dance. They just want to talk. They want someone to talk with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also, you got to find out your stripper like character. I know with you and Phoenix, you
Yeah.
were definitely more that type
Yeah.
compared to him.
Yes.
He was very playful. I'm not playful in dance.
Yeah.
Pay me to talk.
Yeah.
That's my kind of crowd.
Yeah, I found the ones that've been doing it for a while. They're beasts. You know, they're like, let's go for a dance. It's not optional. And you just see the guys that don't even know where they're going. They just stand up and they just follow. And they look at their mates like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm following her. All the younger
It's
ones,
gonna be fun.
yeah. You see the younger ones, they just sit there and wait for the guys to come up to them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got no bones at all.
So what's next for the project? What's coming?
So it's just a book is coming, a memoir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been very interesting to write.
That'll be good.
It's
That'll be
taken-
interesting.
Yeah, and then I would love to create like a stripper school. I know we've talked about that
Yes.
briefly.
Yes.
And it's really good, like talking to you because
Yeah.
I often you get so inside the stripping world, you don't see what it looks like from the outside.
From the outside, yeah. And that's all I do as a security guard. I stand there and watch, you know. And I found I've seen kind of like the lowest of human behavior working there, and it can hit you.
Yeah.
You know, it can hit you because it's just basic instinct. And from side to side, you see the guys, you know, showing like the lowest of behaviors, and you see also a lot of girls that they bend what they normally
Their boundaries.
Yeah, their boundaries. I don't
Yeah.
want to say the morals and stuff like that
No, it's
because
just
you know,
boundaries,
but
yeah.
their boundaries and what they would normally behave like because there's money in front of them. You know,
But
I'm not.
usually those guys pay less, and then you walk away scarred.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
I couldn't believe I was driving home from work and we were messaging about something that
Yes.
had happened in the club and I had the best night ever. Lovely, lovely guys. And he's saying that some girl was crying to
Yeah,
you. A
yeah.
young girl. And I thought, we work in the same club, the same clientele, really.
Mm.
And
The experiences can be so different.
because of experience.
Yes.
And like, yeah, just knowing.
Yeah. How you find relationships and how it affects relationships to be in this industry?
So I've been married for nearly 10 years.
Yes.
So 8
So-
years of that was while I was dancing. And then I had a boyfriend or a partner, oh not a partner, but someone in between that as well. And I didn't find it affected it because straight up I've always been like, well, if you don't like it, go away. Because I
Yeah.
think it's a huge red flag when someone wants you to change what you're doing for them and you're never going to be happy because you're not being authentic
Yes.
to what you want
Yeah.
and where you're going. I don't think it's an issue, but I do see it happen a lot.
Mm.
Girls will be like, oh, I'm waitressing now because my boyfriend said to, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
I hope that's what you want.
And you know, it's funny because I always thought I will never date a stripper until I work at the Vault, and then I'll see. No, this is like safer than dating a normal girl that goes out to the clubs, gets fucked up, and you don't know where they end up.
Yep.
There's all these rules, like you know they're not gonna get touched where they're not meant to be touched. You know, there's all this. They make their money and go home, and it completely changed my perspective.
Yeah.
Now with the privates, I'm a bit more like, I'm not very comfortable with that. But
Why? What's the difference?
there's no controller, there's no rules, there's no, I don't know
Oh,
where
so
you're
you
gonna
gotta
be.
trust them
And
more.
yeah. There's not trust them, but
Trust
the customer
Yeah.
that you don't know who the hell it is.
And I think that would be an okay boundary to have in a relationship, as that was my husband's boundary for a while. You're not allowed to leave the club for safety.
Yeah.
And I said that's fair. And for a while, it was also no messaging clients outside of the club. So you can have boundaries in a relationship. I think that's very healthy, because it's compromising and it's coming together to agree on something.
Yeah, a lot of girls, they open another Instagram account. That is their dancers account, and that's where they message clients from. Because you do need to have contact with your regulars, let them know when you're at the club and all that type of things. But yeah, probably not from your regular account or your phone, and especially then your partner. You're laying in bed, and then you have all the customers like messaging and stuff. Which
on
it depends.
How transparent you are, I guess. Like, I was always like, well, you could have a look anytime. Like, my phone is not locked. Just every relationship is different.
It's different, yes. Absolutely.
And how did you find it? Because you said before you stopped doing this stripping.
Yes,
you got into a relationship.
yes. I kept doing it for a bit while in a relationship, until one time I got home from my job and I found her crying, and I was like, okay, it's affecting her, then this is not worth it. Which is something that you're gonna have to have in mind, like what's most important for you.
But you didn't stop because she told you.
No.
See, that's fine. I think that's great.
No, I saw like it's affecting her, so let's be a man and do the right thing, and I'll get and look for another job. If you're important enough for me, I'll do that for you. Yeah, it's still dumped me. But a few years later. Anyway.
I know that my husband struggled a lot with it, and we went to couples therapy for a few things, and that really helped him, because the therapist said, look, she needs this, and if you take this away from her, she's gonna die.
I found some girls that, like you say, that being transparent with because some of the girls have told me that the partner is like, they know they're stripping, and then they're like, oh, what, you get naked after they've been doing it for months? Like, yeah, what you think is stripping in? What, guys touched you? Like,
Lord.
Yeah, of course he's touching me, so you need to be, make sure that your partner knows
super transparent.
What is, because one day one of their friends is going to come in, and you prefer your partner to find out what you're doing from you than from somebody else.
Yeah. When I had a partner, I would just always dance like they were there. Like, work like they were there. Don't do anything that you would want to hide from them, because that's when it gets dodgy. And like anything, if you go out and you're doing stuff, like you said, you are safer in a club than going out.
Yeah. Do you find that there's also too much transparency? That you can have too much, like it's like you gotta save some details.
Shut up sometimes. He's like, I don't want to know.
Yes. It's like sometimes you start telling the stories. Oh, this customer said this, try this, and it's like, oh, just shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about it. So gotta find a little bit of that balance.
For your relationship, you can't compare what another dancer does with her husband, like what their relationship to yours, because everyone will be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know girls, especially at Hollywood, the older girls who have very long-term partners, and their partners are all good, like, because they're transparent, and it's just a trusted relationship.
Absolutely. It's understanding what you're doing, and what you do. Like, and if you're the boyfriend, you'll get your benefits, you know what I mean? Like, you get your presents,
you get, she's yours for free.
Yes. You gotta think, all these men are spending thousands for the company of your girl, who is putting a fake smile
and a fake story. The things I've told are disgusting.
Then you come back, but she comes back home to you, and you have her for free. And you really have her, because they don't have her. They have a dance. They have a fantasy. You have the real deal. You get taken to breakfast with the money that this guy paid for. So So yeah, you do enjoy of your advantages.
Oh, for sure.
To close it up, like what advice for an 18-year-old girl that's coming to strip, starting first time, what would you say?
Be authentic. Be authentic to what you want. Like if you feel in your gut, like I'm gonna have a good time, and I'm happy with this conversation, keep going with it. If even the conversation makes you uncomfortable, just stop it because you're not being paid enough. Your mental health is priceless.
Absolutely.
Like boundaries, have strict boundaries. The more authentic you are, the more money you're gonna make.
Yeah, and the very relationships of fun that you have with your staff, with your controllers, with the security, whatever. Don't take that for granted.
Invest in that
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, they are gonna have your back if you haven't shat on them.
Yes.
They will always have your back.
Say hello. Say hi when you walk past.
Yeah.
You know, that is little
You
things
don't
like
have
that.
to have a chat.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk, but just be friendly.
Yes.
Be friendly.
Because there's the people that is gonna save your ass when shit goes down.
Yeah.
And shit will go down eventually.
Yeah.
You know.
It always does.
Yeah.
Always does, yeah.
All right. Thank
Thank you.
you. Yes, that was great. Until next time.